Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Christmas card making project. Now the nearer we get to Christmas, the more Christmas we're going to make. And I think this card is just so pretty. Fresh from being back from Create, this is something that you might have purchased a long time ago from Anna, and it's the Christmas Arrangement Embossing Folders and Die set. Now, in one of my classes, or in a couple of classes, I had these as some of my gifts. And I thought it would be really cool to show you something that you can make from it. As I say, they were available a long time ago. But I'm sure you might have dies and embossing folders that would maybe do the same thing if you haven't got these. Now the first thing you're going to need is your base card, and this is a 7x5 card, or for my friends across the pond it's a 5x7. Now it's plain ivory, and this card is mainly made up of ivory cardstock. I know we all like the ivory cards, even with a touch of gold on. I think this card will look very elegant when it's created, and it'll show you with ease how to make it. I've just used my bone folder to make sure I've got a good sharp score along the edge of the card. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog, so please feel free to check my blog out. You can always contact me through my blog or on Facebook if you've got any questions, and you can also please feel free to share any of my projects with your friends, because it's nice to, you know, be able to reach out to people, maybe the new crafters. Maybe this would inspire somebody to just make something, whatever it is. So the inside of our card, we're actually going to do double bubble for this one. We're going to do both sides, something a little bit different. Now, one of the embossing folders in the Christmas arrangement is the beautiful Christmas tree. And it really is beautiful. Now what I've done is I've taken a piece of ivory cardstock and I've embossed the Christmas tree on it. I've then cut the cardstock to fit the inside of one side of my card. So it's a smaller embossing folder, so it does look a little bit high, but you're not going to notice that. So for anybody who's sat there being a bit picky, saying, oh, it's not centred, you know, I'm not too worried about that because it's going to match perfectly to the other side. I've inked this with a distress ink, and it was something like Gathered Twigs. I've only done it very lightly because the inside we're just using that tiny bit of colour from blending ink rather than anything else. So I've got flat tape on the back, so you could use flat tape or a tape runner, etc., to be able to pop this down. I've left this with the embossed look. So it is raised is this side. And I'm just simply going to position this inside our card. Just on the back of the front of it, if that makes sense. Now on this section here, this is the section that we like to write our messages on. This section looks very similar to the other half of the insert. However, what I've done for this, I embossed the card as I did for this side, and then I trimmed it up so that it would fit. I inked it as I did for this side, just around the edge very lightly, and then I took it back through my die cutting machine between plain cardstock and a piece of copier paper, and it's flattened it down so it's nice and flat, so you could write over that with your message. I've stamped using Anna's Christmas stamps. I think they were called the 39 Christmas stamps, the clear stamps, and I've simply stamped Season's Greetings at the bottom. So this bit, I've inked it quite a lot for you to be able to see it. You could do it a little bit lighter so that if you have to write across it, people will see you writing. But I don't know how the best way is to show you that it's now flat rather than embossed. I really like the effect of embossing and then flattening it down after inking. I need to think of a name for that. Flat ink embossing. Flat bossing. There we go, flat bossing. It's so effective. So now we're adding the same panel to the opposite side. So that is the inside of our card. So we've got one that is embossed, that you can see the embossing, and then one that's flat embossed. Just so perfect. Will marry up nicely to the front. So now we can turn our attention to the front. I'm just going to use my bone folder again just to make sure I've still got that nice sharp scored edge. Now for the base of the front, I've used one of the embossing folders from the Christmas arrangements, and this is the Nordic Trees background. And what I've done is I've embossed it on plain ivory cardstock, so you can see it's plain ivory. And then round the edge I've taken a gold ink pad, and then I've used clear embossing powder, and then I've heat embossed it so that it just has a little bit of shine around the edge. I've got flat tape on the back, so you could use flat tape or a tape runner. And then I'm going to position this just through my card on the front, like so. Press it down. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, Anne-Marie, that's a little bit of a mess round the edge. It doesn't quite look blended in. You've not done a good job there. Well, you know what? That doesn't matter because we've got something to go over that. And our something is from the Fretwork dies, Fretwork Die 2, I think it is. I will check that. I've not been very good. I've not wrote my list very well this week. I've die cut this in Anna's Ivory Pearl. I've got a little bit of tape on the back in certain areas. Now, if in doubt, you can always add a little bit more glue. On the back of this and most of the die cuts, there's a lot of places where you can add more glue if you need it. I think that will be fine. I've added some little pearl dots just in the corners, and I'm simply going to add that to the front of the card. I'm going to press it down. I'm going to get a little bit of movement at the edges because I think that sometimes can look good where they're lifting. Rather than using the 3D foam, you've got a little bit of shadow that it creates as it lifts up. Now the centre of the card is the tree. Now what I've done here, because you actually get the embossing folders and the dies for the tree, I've embossed the tree in the ivory cardstock as we did for the insert, and then I've die cut it. I've added a touch of gold ink around the edge of the tree, and then I've used a little bit of clear embossing powder and I've heat embossed it, and then I've just added a few pearl drops just on the edges and in the centre. I've got 3D foam underneath the tree, and I'm going to position the tree just towards the top of the card, like that. I'm going to press it down. There we go. And then I've got a sentiment from Anna's favourite Christmas stickers, sentiments. Now, through the back of the sentiment, I've left no 3D foam through the centre, but I've added 3D foam at each edge. And that means I can place it over the base of the tree, like so. And it will sit flat on the base of the tree, but the 3D foam will sit either side of the tree, so it's the same height. And then I can finish my card off with a little gold bow underneath. And that is such a pretty Christmas card. And easy to make, something a little bit different. The inside is so elegant and matches the outside so perfectly. Stands up, will definitely go on the mantelpiece. And you can see how we've got the touch of colour from the gold edging on the base layer where we've embossed it and then used our ink pad. And then we've got our layer from the fretwork that we've cut out, and that hides our edge where we've inked it. So if you're not the best inker and blender in the world, it doesn't matter. Give it a go. It just looks so perfect. And how Christmassy does that look? Gold and ivory always looks great. You can't go wrong with it. And whoever receives that will keep that for Christmases to come, I'm sure. It's just so pretty. So I hope this has given you just an idea of how to use your Christmas arrangement folders. I do love this set. The embossing folders, there's so many different ones to choose from in it, and you'll be able to use them on so many of your different Christmas cards. It's a great set to have, because embossing folders are so versatile, and especially when you get dies with them. Not just this set, if you get an embossing folder set with dies, you can do so much with it. And you can see, you know, we've only used a few different components extra, a few different embellishments to go with it. And look how great that looks. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.